It is a year since Robinson Nsumba Lyazi went back to his creator, but his services to the human race still echo loud as if he's still amidst us. His service and later dismiss can only be summarized in the biblical book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 verses 7. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. As a bona fide Christian, a few people who witnessed his 2018 handover of the office of the Director of Basic and Secondary Education affirmed that Lyazi had achieved more than he had anticipated in life and walked home contented. A son of an illiterate who started his journey from the deep villages of Mityana as a teacher sums up at the Ministry of Education and Sports as head of a fully fledged directorate. As a university graduate of the 80s, a few of the graduates would swallow the campus pride to walk back to a school that they attended as old students to teach. But Nsumba had felt he was best needed to serve his people and so became a teacher at Mityana SS, a school he had been to as a student. His devoted service at Mityana SS for the 4 years as a teacher saw him promoted to deputy head teacher and later head teacher of over 2,000 students at the age of 28, which was a lifetime record not easy to set, all courtesy of his love for the church, which is the founding body of the school.
I think I need to say that population in area again that could be big.
Nsumba's family's dependence on the brewery skills and tailoring skills of his father for provision probably was the strong reason and love for private school entrepreneurship and his much emphasis to see science subjects take a lion's share in the Ministry of Education and Sports budget. Not forgetting the energies to see the competence-based curriculum gain shape in implementations prior to his retirement. Nsumba had tested and proven of how a skill can make one survive with his household if helped out. He often joked, "Had my father been educated, we would be owning a textile or a fabrics factory somewhere in Mityana." Robinson started his academic journey in Mityana at Mityana Junior School, Namukozi, for his PLE in 1973. He later joined Mityana SS for UCE and proceeded to Kololo SS for his USCE in 1979. He later joined Makerere University for his bachelor's in science in physics and double math in 1982, and then did a postgraduate diploma in education immediately after to help him teach physics and double math in a secondary school. Nsumba's talent in mathematics and physics was the reason his former head teacher requested he goes back to Mityana and give a helping hand to his fellow alumni even before he completed university. Although Mityana was within the war-torn area, Nsumba offered to risk his life for his own people and children. To that, the great Mubende attains more of his caliber, and so there was Nsumba Lyazi in Mityana SS as a licensed teacher, graduate teacher, deputy head teacher, and later head teacher.
Omuyizi wange ave Makerere nkumwenda kinana mu era nsanga nkyali Mityana nkola ki nsomesa tusomesa naye era nga ye head of math nze ndi head of physics and chemistry department tusomesa nikukola ne bamfuula ki de beauty mu 1984 mu 87 bamufuula headmaster Mityana esesi ya gindi omusomesa omuyizi wange nakola ki omusomesa
Mu mwaka ogw'ekinaana nafuluma e Makerere nga na diguli ey'okusomesa okubala ne physics. Yali ammanyi nga kati ye headmaster we Mityana Secondary School. Nze bampadde Ennaama Secondary School. Yampita ne mwegattako nga nsomesa A-level okubala.
Robinson was an all-round educator who broke even in many of his circles of service. For example, he was a government civil servant assigned to see that non-state education institutions exist and get strengthened to complement and compete favorably with the government-aided and funded institutions.
He was such a welcoming person. He was such a very positive leader. He was such a very inspirational person. Every time you would speak to him, he would really show positivity always. Very encouraging and very willing to receive you, even if you went to him several and many more times. So Nsumba Lyazi would be someone who makes you like the teaching profession. Every time he had stories about how he grew from a classroom teacher to the level of one of the most high people, a director of basic and secondary education in this country. So he was always sharing his journey and encouraging people to love the profession, to work very hard, and always to be positive.
He comes from a family which earned bread from brewing alcohol, yet his marital best man was a bishop in the Anglican Church.
Yali anjagala naye kyandaga nti anjagala bwe yatuuka okuwasa yagamba njagala obeere best man wange. Neewuunya omuvubuka omuto okujja n'anoonya nze omuntu nga ndaba ndi mukulu nange nenzikiriza.
Demonstrating his love for God and the church. He was a focal person to see that many church schools are grounded, keep to the foundation mission, and collaborate.
The late Nsumba Lyazi was very passionate about his work. He loved his work. He would get into office very early in the morning. I think he would be among the first people to get into office. By 9 a.m. he has cleared his table and is ready to receive his clients in the office. He was a hard-working man. He valued keeping time. And when you would invite him at a function at your school, he would be there 5 minutes before the scheduled time. Nsumba Lyazi used to give wise counsel. His speeches would be rich in wisdom, giving wise counsel basing on his life's experience. And his audience would enjoy listening to him because of the wise counsel he would always give.
Producing something. What we can fetch for do? Over what they will prove us. Tokuma Kumi Sobero, the Kangaway. No, we are no answer. Sobero on the Kumi in Yon, we are in Kwasa. They don't do something or you are.
A man from an illiterate family, but rose through to direct policies of basic and secondary education at the Education Ministry.
When I joined the ministry here, I found the late years as Assistant Commissioner in the Department of Government Secondary Schools. At that time, we had divisions, we had general secondary, we had comprehensive. And I remember Mr. Lyazi then was heading the comprehensive section. He did quite a lot of work with many of our schools in terms of preparing them to offer the whole kind of education, which was blended to the technical, vocational, practical subjects. I became Assistant Commissioner when he had been promoted to Commissioner to head now the new department of private schools and institutions. And it appeared like we are entering into a department which was not very maybe very important to the ministry, who were used to government schools and that kind of thing. So they said this is maybe a side kind of department. But with Mr. Lyazi, he mentored us and guided the department to grow. We got more staff and headed us well.
Nsumba was like a huge elephant, explained differently depending on which side of him you got a chance to know. To the church, he was a cheerful giver and staunch church member and always a pillar of the Namukozi Best Diocese to reckon.
My dad was really a good dad. He's a dad anyone would want to have. He was a friend. He was a counselor. He was God-fearing. We grew up in a church setting, in that he would never leave anyone home when he was going to church. We started in Sunday school. We went to the big church. Basically, his home was, he was a Christian person. Generally, everything he did was based on Christianity.
Nensirayo nendaba wansi w'enjuba ng'ab'embiro si be basinga empaka ez'embiro. So n'ab'amaanyi si be basinga okulwana. So n'abagezigezi si be bafuna emmere. So n'abantu abategeevu si be bafuna obugali. So n'abakabakaba si be baganja. Naye bonna bibagwira bugwizi ebiseera n'ebigambo.
To the politicians, he got all the reasons to defend all the policies brought to his notice by his line ministry political heads. His spot on was how he defended the science policies for schools just days after the president made a directive with proven facts as why the country would take up the move even when he had not met the president on the same. To the Mityana people, they got the lion's share for all their requests when they learned their own was in charge.
Tumumanyi ng'atunyumiza munnyo ku kyalo kuno wajja musabye ennaku enkulu kuba ku ntujjo yatuttiranga enti ng'abakadde tebakaaba era ffe twakaaba nnyo amaziga ng'atuvudde ku maaso kubanga tetuyinza kufuna musajja alinga Mwami Nsumba Lyazi era tulina ennaku ku mutima nnyingi nnyo.
Mwami Nsumba Lyazi yali musomesa wange mu Mityana Secondary School mu 1981 okutuuka 84 we namalira O-level nga naye ye musomesa wange yali ow'okubala. Mwenyumirizaamu okusinga olw'ebigambo bye. Ye muntu eyali tasobola kukuleka n'obeera nga totuuka ku mutindo gw'ayagala. Era yatufaako nnyo ffe olw'okuba tuli baana ab'omu kitundu mwazaalibwa naye. Ate kikwewuunyisa era okuba nti bamaama baffe, maama wa Nsumba Lyazi n'owange, ate baali ba mukwano nnyo. N'olwekyo n'aba nga atufaako nnyo ffe olw'okuba tuli baana bazaaliranwa nga tayagala kutuleka mabega.
To the scientists within the education sector, their own was in charge, and so many attained as much as they could after being prioritized. With the private sector, Lyazi saw the foundation and later strengthening of the private schools and institutions Directors Association, which today now very vibrant as the first commissioner. To the family, Robinson was a father very responsible who raised not only his biological sons and daughters but also beyond.
Bingi byemuyigiddeko era byatubuliriranga nga ebimu ku byo gyenyinza okumenya. Taata waffe yatugambanga nnyo okubanga buli kye tukola tukikole n'omutima gumu obuteesaasiranga era nga atuwa ekyokulabirako kye nti ebiseera bwe yali omuvubuka yeewaayo obulamu bwe bwonna okukola ekyo kye yali akoze eki ataddeko essira era nti ne bye yatuukako byonna kyava kwerekereza.
He taught us hard work, and in all the conversations that he had with us, his children and the people around him, it was about hard work. And him, he usually told us that he could tell us history of how his father toiled so much to have them go through school, even when their dad was not educated.
Dad was a principled person. He would never change his word. He would never be biased about anything. He would always go by the right thing, even if it was going to hurt someone, but he would always set his standard to be on the right side. That was my dad.
The OBs of Mityana SS walked high with their school and always declared those who didn't go through Mityana SS never studied.
Abantu bonna mu Uganda mu Bulende bagitanga kalamuja ya Buganda. Naye mwaka gw'ekinaana mu musanvu nkyamujjukirawo twafulumira. Yagenda ku university n'ajjayo abasomesa kumi ddamba bonna n'abayiwa Mityana Secondary School. Era okuva olwo yayitibwanga University y'e Mulende. Ekintu ekyakwata akati nga enjogera y'ennaku zino.
The Great Educators Forum is forever indebted for a man who picked our frustrations and officiated our first ever event as we gathered energies to stand and walk. Nsumba was always a reliable man who accepted to officiate functions in many forms just hours to the functions, especially after disappointments.
Basiima okoze ki ogenze naye bano basiimire ddala abantu bali ate nga abantu be basiima ddala bansonga bakoze birungi naffe aba minisita tugimanyi nga bakola emirimu nga bagikola n'obwesigwa bagikola n'amaanyi gaabwe gonna n'okwagala n'amagezi gaabwe gonna okulaba nga amasomero gye bali bagatwala mu maaso.
I first met the late Nsumba Lyazi in 2017. I remember we were organizing a dinner. And so we invited one of the government officials to officiate at that dinner. Unfortunately, we are turned down a day to the dinner. And so when I whispered it to one of the great men behind the Great Educators Forum, he told me, why don't you consult Mr. Nsumba Lyazi, the Director Basic Education? So that's when I walked to his office. We chatted. But I remember him saying that, Solomon, I've seen a leadership quality in you. When you have been given something to do, you either do it, delegate it, if you cannot do it, or dispose it off. He had the 3 Ds. The rest is history, but I remember he came and did what he wanted from him.
Over time, he left many latecomers unattended to after finding his office closed when they walked in a few minutes to the agreed time. Nsumba was an early bird who always came to the office before 6 a.m. to start work, and to him, traffic jam was never heard of.
Robinson Nsumba Lyazi had a number of attributes. The first one is time management. To me, he was a very good time manager who could be here as early as 6. And I'm happy to say I'm learning from him. So he could say, kindly, leave anything, whatever you want to do, but make sure you're on time. So he was never late. He was very hardworking. Hardworking in a sense that you can see from his time as a teacher. He spent very little time as a teacher and he became a head teacher.
One thing I remember of Dad used to be very, very time conscious. Remember there is one time when I was at campus, Daddy told me to go to his office as early as 8. But I remember when I reached his office, it was around 10 minutes past 8. And when I called, he had already gone.
Lyazi created a further framework in all his work that can be expanded as fairness, accountability, trust, honesty, equality, and respect. He always said, it's not about doing the right things, it's about doing the right things the right way. When you stop learning, you stop living. Above all, Lyazi was a family man who treasured his family and saw the growth, development, mentorship, and grooming of his biological daughters and sons into responsible men and women.
Yayagala nnyo okubalaga omukulu gwe kubanga yali buli kintu kyonna abasomesa, empisa, okwagala abantu n'okwagala abazadde n'ekkanisa.
Lyazi was a rolling stone that rolled to the time he slept, and in the process, he endlessly pushed many citizens in motions, those he directly dealt with and those he never.
Nsumba Lyazi namusanga nga ye mukulu w'essomero wa Mityana Secondary School. Ebbanga lye yakulembera bulungi nnyo essomero era sijjukirawo kizibu kyonna ekyagwa mu ssomero wano nekimulema kugonjoola alina obukulembeze bulungi. Teyalina nsonga yonna ekwatagana na nsimbi ng'ate ekwata ne ku mukulu w'essomero. Amakulu ssente yazifuga bulungi ebbanga lye lyonna lye twabeera naye. Ate n'abasomesa banne nabo n'abafuga bulungi nnyo era ne bamusiima. Ate n'abaana bennyini n'abakulembera bulungi nnyo nga musajja omukristaayo omulungi era nga ye kyakuyiga kinene nnyo eri abaana baffe n'abasomesa bonna baalinga bayinza okumwegombako ebintu bingi olw'obukulembeze bwe.
We shall forever miss him, and may he continue resting in peace. Great Educators Forum. Inspire, educate, and inform.